Hey friends, this is your host, Jermaine Harrison, licensed mental health counselor, here for this Inimitable podcast. If you did not know what inimitable means, it means something that is so unique it is impossible to duplicate. AKA my black sheeps, my neurospicy individuals, the misunderstood or Mr. Understood, you know what I'm saying? Welcome to this pod. This is your safe space to be seen, heard, felt, and to be validated. Clock that T, boo. Well, welcome for another episode where we are going to talk about living in purpose, with purpose, on purpose, from overcoming breakups to living in your purpose to enduring life's storms, all the things, right? So I hope you enjoy me and the guests and the conversation that is happening. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll see you soon. Bye. I am so proud of my new intro, y'all. That was...
I was going to say, that was amazing.
Yeah, like, listen, ain't not like a good moment in Canva. Just... Anyway, welcome to the Inimitable Podcast. This is, I don't even know what episode we are on, but we are here. And unfortunately, both I and my guests are very nasally today. So we're gonna push through. Yeah, right. Same. We're gonna push through and we're gonna make it work because we are dedicated to the pod and to spreading awareness and to making sure that our people are healed and heard and well. So, as I mentioned before in my advertisement, this young gentleman next to me, he is no stranger to the pod. He was on the Black Man Heal series. He had his own episode, and then he came back for the panel, which I greatly enjoyed. I enjoy giving Black men the platform to share their story, to be seen, to be heard, to give us a male perspective. Because, you know, I think women share a lot of their perspective, and it's great to have a man's perspective. So he is a youth mentor. He has his own business. He is an entrepreneur. Vet Run Movers. He helps people move up and down the East Coast, if you will. And friend, colleague, homie, Mr. Cordan James, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's good. It's been a good day. It's been a good day.
Okay, good days. We like good days. Well, thank you for agreeing to come back, sir. It's been
glad to be here.
Year and some change, if I'm not mistaken, since you were last on the pod. So catch us up.
Longer than that. I feel like we're on 2 years.
Child, maybe. You might be right. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, since then, how has life been? No, it was not. It was probably the end of 2023. Yeah, because your episode happened in 2023, and then the panel happened January of 2024. So since 2024, we've had a year and a half. How has life been? How was business and all the things?
Business has been effective. Couldn't have gone better, honestly. Having some great partnerships, great success with the mentees. They're making progress. I think since last we spoke, I gave a TED Talk. And that has been very powerful and very well received. It's opened up a lot of doors to speak in new places and share the lived experience and the things that I've learned and strategies that I've learned over the last few years. So, you know, I can't complain at all.
Yeah, that was a TED Talk. First of all, if there is a spokesperson for the Black man in New Hampshire, Mr. Cordan James is it. Because this man got awards and trophies and acknowledgments up the wazoo. He's just being humble right now, y'all. But if you Google Black man in New Hampshire, Cordan's bound to be in the top 5. They love him on here. It's true. It's okay. It's okay. I'll brag for you, friend. I will brag for you. You stay humble.
Thank you, friend.
Yeah. So as he mentioned, he is a mentor. He works with a lot of young people, and he helps people move. He's a veteran himself. TED Talk, I caught a glimpse of it. Good stuff. I mean, I've heard the story because, we friends, right? So I've heard the story. But like, it's
LMHC.
all right, we're not talking about me. But like, he shared his story that was very heartfelt. And, I was like, oh, go friend out there, just letting the people know about your history, which is amazing. And then I'm like, hey, you gotta come back on the pod, friend, because it's time. Like it's like brown 30 and it's time. And he's like, of course. And so I'm like, let's collaborate, let's figure out what we want to talk about. And Cordan is in this because we friends, right? So I see him getting his life together and back in the gym and putting out the positive feels and the messages and out the positive vibes. And it all did happen after, a breakup. And so I was like, oh, light bulb. Let's talk about this return to self. Because Cordan is the comeback kid. You know what I'm saying? And you do deserve to have a story told of like, especially from a man's perspective, how do we bounce back from bad breakups and stuff like that? Because I'm curious. I got questions for days because I like to hear your perspective. So let's start it off. Dating as a man. Hey, yeah, okay. Come on. Details.
Go ahead. Ask the question.
I did. I said dating. As a man these days, what is it like? Do we like it? Do we hate it? Is it horrible?
Dating as a man these days. Do I get to speak on my experience or from what I've learned?
Both, if you can.
Man. Dating for me lately is great, but we'll come back to that. I think the dating landscape is different. I'm 37, going on 38 years old. I feel like the way I was raised it's a different time with social media and just where we're at in this day and age. But I also feel like the older we get, the more there is the presence of trauma, right? And I think the presence of trauma leads to the lack of vulnerability. And so at this big old age, I feel like maybe it's almost harder to date.
Yeah.
It's harder today. Like people been through a couple heartbreaks and then we don't want to be vulnerable. We have side pieces and lies and facades. And there's that side. And then there's the other side where people get married. People are having long-term, beautiful relationships. And then, we're wondering how they did it. And what's the key to all that?
Right. Sad like
dating in 2025.
Garbage, as I like to say. Now, thank you for sharing that because 2 weeks ago, I had on a good friend, Alexis, and we were talking about like the female perspective and how females often have these unrealistic expectations. And, we're all trying to achieve this childlike, romanticized version of dating. And then you step out into the world and you're like, Disney didn't talk about this. Like this is not what I signed up for. And it is very hard. And then, sometimes it's hard because like you were saying, people are carrying years of trauma that is undealt with. And then it's like, yeah, no, let's date, let's connect, let's trauma bond, if you will, because, we all need help. So like, what is that like when you bring baggage into a relationship from a man's perspective? Because, I think men, you guys carry way more than you even talk about. And so we as women, we don't really know. But like for your experience or in talking with your male friends, like what is that like when you enter into a relationship? What are you carrying? What are you bringing with you?
What are you not bringing with you? You're bringing parts of them. No matter how it ends, you're bringing part of them with you. You become a different person in that relationship. And when you're single and in your own space, you start to realize maybe you lost a part of yourself. Maybe you gained a part of yourself. Maybe you're relieved. I think that all of that leads into a journey of self-discovery. I know for me, I had to fall back on my roots. One thing that I am blessed about growing up in therapy and having great friends along the way is just knowing where to go when I need to heal. Right? You know, most people know they need to go. They get injured. They at a certain point, you know, you need to go to the ER.
Sure.
Right? You just know that. For me, what does healing look like? I've been there and done that. Right? So it goes back to my prayers. It goes back to being out by the ocean and doing nothing, taking myself out, getting in the gym, journaling. And I want to talk about all those things because it takes all of those things every single day just to get out of bed.
Yeah,
just to be present. I always say is like, you never know what it takes somebody to get out of bed or to even present themselves to the world. The things you do inside your own home just to go out that door.
Yeah.
And on the drive, you know, the walk, the commute, the train.
You're talking real good, sir. I like it.
So what was the question? You know, oh Lord.
What do you bring into the relationship?
Yeah.
You know, people be like, so what do you bring to the table? That question burns a hole in my face. What does that even mean? What do you bring to the...
How do you even know you want to build a table with me?
Right. Why
You know?
a table?
You know, I think a lot of that goes back to like connection. I think it's normal to have like a spark. You finally meet somebody and have that connection. And I'm good for this too. I actually learned this word, if I can. I think it's called limerence. You know what limerence is?
It's a word in the English language, yeah.
Limerence. It is. I don't know where from, but somewhere. Excuse me. Limerence talks about like extreme lust that feels like love. Right. And it's like that honeymoon phase, but like it's easy to live in that limerence, like obsessed about them. And we want that, right? That's part of the fantasy. That feeling swept off your feet or finding the woman of my dreams, the apple of my eye, right? That it should be this loud, instant knowing. I'll tell you what, that's got me in some trouble. Some trouble.
That's the word.
Because, and I say that because like when I approached relationships, you know, I think this is important for men. If you're not able to come from a stable place in life, right? Some of us don't have our own homes. Some of us have a job that we're not happy with. It's not paying the bills. Some of us got the debt. Some of us got some charges that we're fighting and facing that hold us back. Some of us got some child support and all these things that make us who we are, but things that we're struggling with. And those are the things that come with us into the relationship. And then, like you said, we want to blend, and that's great and that's beautiful. Yes, intense.
If Darren ain't gonna do nothing, he gonna
romantic inspiration. So talk about that. Characterized by intrusive thoughts, a strong desire for reciprocation, and idealization of something.
The other person. It is a state of obsession driven by uncertainty about the other person's feelings, which can cause anxiety, but also intense elation.
Yes.
Thank you, best friend.
Thank you, best friend. Excuse me. Good to see you again, Mr. Darren Day. We were on the Black Men Heal podcast together.
We might have to bring y'all back for round 2. But anyway.
Right. Bring him live. You know, limerence, like I wish that would pop back up so I could read that, but that infatuation that he said, I'll post it again. That strong desire, like it sounds healthy, right? Reciprocity. Yeah. That's all I want. But it's the infatuation, the intrusive thoughts, to me, it goes back to compatibility, right?
Yeah.
Love, what does love look like, right? I feel like I've experienced a lot of struggle. I brought struggle in. I
Mm-hmm.
struggled. I was toxic in my own ways, right? I was the situations where I was not the calm, loving person that I should have been,
Yeah.
right? And what drives me to be to that point? It is my own responsibility to find somebody who's compatible, right?
Mm-hmm.
This capacity to change somebody. Too often do we meet somebody and we want them to adjust. I need you to change this, or you go out with your homegirls and do this and this and this. I need you to not do that. And
Right.
that sounds all good and great, but unless they naturally willing to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and then you continue, right? So you don't get what you wanted, but you continue waiting for a person to step up, to change, to adjust. Um, and I don't think that's. I'm learning that's not reality.
No.
It's actually manipulative. I've learned.
Ooh. You talking
Who
real
am I
good.
to? What happened?
I say you talking real good, sir. Go ahead. Go
Go ahead.
ahead.
I'm learning how manipulative it is to expect somebody to change. I think that, again, going back on that compatibility, you're not going to have everything. Compatibility, first of all, is the bare minimum,
Bare
right? Do
minimum.
you bare minimum? And like
Mm.
that's a big wake up call in my life. Just wanting to get along with somebody to do life with is just like that's what friends can do. And I get that there's more in the romance, but I mean that's a bare minimum. What do you do above and beyond that?
Fair.
And I'm
Yes.
saying I'm 37. I'm dating again, um, and I've been through some divorces, been through some heartbreaks, domestics, heart.
Mm.
Yeah, the bare minimum. You get it, Shay. Um,
That's my mentee.
so yeah. Anyway, manipulation.
Yeah. No, honestly, you're saying some good stuff because you had mentioned before that sometimes when you get into a relationship, you want it so bad that you kind of start to shift your own values and needs. And you're just kind of like, I kind of lost myself in here. And the irony is you started off by saying compatibility means
Yeah.
who matches me. But if you lose yourself, what is the new standard? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
what are you matching compatibility up to if you've lost self? And I've been in situations where it's like, oh well, you compliment me and this, and I was like, I might compliment you now, sir, but Sissy Pooh don't date just for right now. I'm dating for years on it.
Of
And
course.
I was like, if we're not growing together, we can't go together,
No.
because if I'm growing and you 10 steps back there, either you gonna have to rush to catch up or I'm gonna have to slow down, and I will not slow down because I be working. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so knowing yourself helps you to make sure that you are maintaining compatibility with said person that you are dating. And I love all of the good gems that you are dropping because the limerence that you were talking about, I think it's quick to confuse infatuation and lust with love. And another part that you were saying, and I have a lot of friends, and I'll be getting on them, even my mentees, my older mentees. I'm like, y'all, at some point, we gotta check ourselves and be like, am I okay enough to date? Because I might be toxic AF and struggling with my toxicity. And if I haven't handled my stuff, that means I'm forcing someone to deal with it. And so it's
Absolutely.
like, how do you heal in the middle of a relationship? Or are you just so consumed with the relationship that you forget about your self healing and self as well?
Mm. Can you say that? Can you state that one more time?
Yeah.
Okay, you
So
said that.
do you become so infatuated and overwhelmed and consumed by a relationship that you lose self and that you forget self? You know what I mean? Like, how do you heal? Because if you come in toxic, right? We're just giving the, you're coming in toxic, you're coming in broken, and you're trying to heal. Do you realize what that looks like? Or do you just kind of be like, but I got what I want because I'm in a relationship, so I'll heal at some point, you know?
I can't say that I approach relationships from a toxic place intentionally, right? I'm not out to get anybody or to bamboozle anybody or fool anybody or future, what is the word, future faking? I'm not here to future fake. I really want what I want. I think for me, it's come from like the enmeshment. All right. I love love. I want that sweet, deep love, right? I want to feel chosen, all those beautiful things. I think in that process, I've learned, where is my boundary, right? There's one thing, I'm going to do anything I can for you, but where do I lose myself in doing anything I can for you?
That's good.
And sometimes, like you said, what do you bring into? Sometimes I bring in shame, right? Depending on how you ended your last relationship, I can recall a situation where I was the fuckboy, right? And how that relationship escalated, it was toxic. And from that, in my healing phase after that, was dealing with my own shame, right? So getting back into new love felt good. Someone chose me, right? But I'm like, that was my past. I'm putting that behind me, forgiveness, all that, but still not realizing, like, I'm kind of living from that lens of, I fucked up before. Excuse my language. I messed up before. And how can I move forward and be seen? And how do I view myself? Right. And that permeated into me lacking boundaries for certain things. There was a lot of things that I might have been more open to because I didn't want that. What is the word? Maybe control. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Trying to go back to the control part. The moment after shame, getting into a new relationship, that feeling of being chosen, it felt good. It felt like I was doing something right. And again, compromised a lot on my own standards, things that I truly wanted, because to be chosen when you're, see yourself in a bad light feels redeeming, in a way. But sometimes it could feel like you maybe entered a different level. Like maybe you did heal because I got chosen.
Sure.
Anyway, stop it.
No, I like this. Listen, I like it because it's true. We are looking to be healed in our connections with people. And what we don't realize is that, like, we want something so much that when we get it from an external place, you're like, oh my God, this feels great. Which is why I said sometimes it's hard to heal in the middle of a relationship, because you're like, I got what I want. Like, I am that someone chose, like you were saying, someone chose me. Someone's deciding that beside the fact that I am cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, that like they're still here and they're still willing to ride this thing out with me. Like, hey, that's great. But then it's like, right, but am I still healing though? Or do I feel healed because a person's here?
And I feel like healing is also a part of like feeling secure. Like, do I feel secure within my own self? Do I trust myself again to make those right decisions for myself as a man? Do I trust myself to choose the right partner? Right. That's always the thing when you think you're doing all the right things, right? You think you have it locked down, and you find out that you don't have it locked down, and that will break a man's soul, and you figure out how to trust again. When anyway,
No, don't anyway. Listen, you are saying good stuff, sir. And I hope people in the comments, y'all are paying attention, because this is good. And it's from a Black man's perspective. And we love our Black kings. Hey. So I think there's a conversation that has to happen about when you're in relationships, how do you make sure that you don't lose yourself? And I think a part of that is recognizing I still am one half of this, but this relationship doesn't define me as man or as female. It is an extension of me. It is something that I'm pouring into and hopefully is pouring back into you. But I still matter. My dreams, my hopes, my goals, my vision still matter. And you talked about ego and pride. And I think both men and females have it, where it's like, well, I can't, like, if I leave this, I'm a failure, or if my relationship doesn't turn into marriage, I failed somewhere. So it's like, are you able to catch it? Because I can't say I've been in a relationship where I'm so infatuated in love, because unfortunately that's not my ministry yet, but we're working on it. So like when you're in the thick of it, right? Do you start to like kind of mesh those two worlds together? Like her dreams and my dreams become our dreams, or are you able to still maintain your autonomy in a relationship?
I think always having the capacity to maintain the autonomy. I think where it does get blurry is, that's part of a relationship, is making plans together, and having a vision of where we are going and what we're able to accomplish together. I would say before we even get to that point of like, again, it goes back to the compatibility. I've learned you can do basic stuff with people, but are you able to go the long distance, right? And for me, that's taken a lot of reflection. Like, where do I come from? I grew up in the foster care system. I didn't, my story. Born to a mother struggled with an addiction, in the foster care system till I was 3. Adopted at the age of 3 to 12, and then back in foster care from 13 to 18. And so some of the trauma that surrounds those situations kind of made me stop reflecting on where I came from. And I think the downfall with that was I didn't reflect where I learned how to do relationships. Even when I reflect on that, it was like my foster family, they were married at like 17 up until my father passed away at like 40, mid 40s. Right. So married super young, one partner their whole life. My other foster parents, they were married almost 50 something years. He just passed away December of last year. And so the view that I have is like relationships seem mad easy. Not easy, but like when I look at their love, and if you come from parents who are still married, you're like, that's the goal, is to have that type of marriage. And that does, sometimes your parents make it look real easy, but it also seems like the way forward is like choose somebody and go with that person. And that's definitely how I led my dating life, was like, I wanted to be married, to be somebody's husband. I just never knew all that it took. I thought like your boyfriend, your girlfriend moves into being your wife eventually, right? That's the plan. Thank you, Brother Jackson. Right? That just seemed like that's the plan, is like, that's the steps, right? That's the courting process.
Yeah.
And there's so much to the courting actual process if people still court.
I mean, they do a version. I think they do like the microwave version of courting, where it's like, hey, I like you, you like me, we're catching a vibe. Let's actually do this thing. And it's like, yep, okay. But like you were saying, the limerence, was it limerence? Limerence, I think we get, and this is actually factual, is that we are, because of social media and how fast paced things are, we are quick to go off of emotion because it feels right. It's like, oh, I like this feeling. And that's how people are appealing to us, is through our emotions, right? Sometimes we are just so emotionally endowed or like emotionally invested that logic goes on out the window. And then like you're just kind of in this thing and you're like, how did I get here? Do I just keep going because I'm here? Or like, what is that? So the comeback kid, the comeback story, right? Mr. James is the epitome of the comeback kid, self-proclaimed, of course. And so after you find yourself in this moment of, I really love this person, but I also need to love myself. And loving myself sometimes means I have to choose self over the other person. What did it take for you to like return to self? What was that journey like of, I just had a breakup. It was rough. It took a lot from me, but I still matter and I still need to pour into me. So what was that journey for you?
That was definitely a tough journey. Mostly because it included my daughter as well. When you have breakups and it includes a kid, and that breakup rocks your world, meaning you might be homeless, you might have to move, separate your finances, catch up on some bills, all the things you got to do to separate that space.
Yep.
That's a lot. And on that point, there's not a whole lot of programs that will help men, fathers in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
Right? More programs for situations like that. But that was an interesting process, right? Trying to find a new apartment. I didn't quite have the money to do what I needed to do to just get up and out. So there was about a month period where we lived in different rooms while I tried to save up and get my life together. And during that time, it was just, and my child's there as well. So that's maintaining my cool, maintaining the peace in the home at the time. And just making sure everybody stays respectful. But once we kind of got into our own place, which was a blessing in and of itself, the very first place that I went to, the guy offered me the apartment. Hours later, sent me a text, was like, "Hey, do you want this apartment?" Which I was shocked by because I had just viewed it. And by blessing, I don't know how this happened, but I felt inspired to just share with this brother my story. I just let him know where I was coming from, and this brother was able to lower the rent down to a certain spot, which I've never heard of negotiating rent. But so it was like all these things. Like when we talk about choosing yourself, right? That was a hard moment for me to maintain my own composure and for myself. But it just seemed like once I chose myself, everything. When I say everything fell into place, everything fell into place. Within a week, I had my own apartment. Within 3 weeks, I was able to justify the income that I would need for this apartment because we wasn't paying. Now my half rent was full rent now. So the money, everything came. And I can't speak. I don't know how that all worked out. We do know how it all works out, but God is good.
Amen.
But that was a testimony in and of itself, that it is the right thing to choose yourself, and honoring that space just allowed me to trust myself again. And then from there, it's been a lot of breathwork classes. It's been yoga classes, being in the gym, journaling, praying. I'm Buddhist, so visiting my Buddhist community, tapping back in with them, and just great conversations, a lot of laughter, a lot of sunshine, a lot of rest, a lot of sleep, taking naps. Also a lot of work, right? Now, when you choose yourself, the other things seem like you can put more back into those.
Yeah.
Peace, appreciate you. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, I love that. And returning to self, excuse me, is hard. Because when you lost yourself, you're like, So where did self go? I don't know.
Right.
And so I like that you didn't just try one approach. Sounds like you tried several, and you combine those to create a system of like, I need to pour back into me. I need to love me again. I need to see me again. I need to learn me all over again. You know, the comeback and the return of it all. Sometimes, like you were saying, it's exhausting. You're like, yo, how did I get here? Like, what? I know there was a version of me that was always this, but then it's like, uh, this other stuff. You got to find yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. You said you're in the gym, you're doing yoga, you're journaling, you're back to your Buddhist practices, like all of
Right. And
these
we're going to
things.
therapy.
And go to therapy.
And
Therapy works, y'all.
yes, therapy. Therapy will always be a thing. I've been in therapy my whole life, and I will always have a therapist.
Yes, because it's
Absolutely.
necessary. Yeah, yeah.
It
But,
is. It is. You know, I
so,
think, on that note, too often it's too easy. Unless we all have good friends around us who challenge that narrative. Like most of my friends are therapists or work in this space. Like I'm not a therapist, but because of the work that I do, I'm grateful that I have intellectual people who will challenge me, and I got to tell them to stop challenging me and asking me questions at at, at galas. Trying to have a
um,
therapy session at the gala, and so what
it
does your
was just a
therapist say about
question,
that?
but yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
What does your therapist say about that? Like, yo, we at the gala right now. You see them dance?
Sorry.
Um,
Oh my god, that's too
so
funny.
again, I'm grateful to have those conversations, but I do want to talk about that. It is important to have therapy or counseling or find a local support group near you, a men's group. If we're talking to just men, men
Yeah,
men do a lot of healing with men, and that is a good thing, right?
true, true.
Right? That is archaic. Men have healed with men, and that is absolutely important to have that space, to have that camaraderie, to have the masculinity. That is true masculinity,
Yeah, yeah.
right? In a space that we can cry, we can pat each other on the back, we can hug, right? We could talk it out, we could do whatever we got. We can go to the gym. I just think
Mhm.
it takes everything to be whole.
That part. Yeah, yeah. I agree.
Anyway,
No, I appreciate you saying that because I think for women, we'll always find a community, a tribe, with our sisters and with family, and if we still have relationships, with certain people, we'll reach out. But I hate that the circle for a man is often shrinking, and it's like if you ain't got your boys, what else you got? Like if there aren't programs enough out there that
mm,
say, here's your safe space, men, cry without being emasculated, share your emotions without feeling emasculated. I feel like the unfortunate part is that men are emasculated way too much. And I'm like, and this is why men carry so much. This is why some of the people, one of the main populations, unfortunately, that are completing suicide are men, but more specifically, Black men. Because
right.
who's giving them the space to say, like, listen here, baby boy, if you're
Yeah.
hurting, I'm here with you. And here's your space. Say what you
Yeah.
need to say, feel how you need to feel. But too often women are like, ugh, I don't want my man to be doing that. Then you don't want a man at all, Miss Ma'am.
Sure.
Because like, what?
You don't
Men
want a
hurt
human. You
too.
don't want a human.
Right, right. Human. Humanity. It grinds
No.
my gears.
On that one, I think it's revolutionary to remind men to, as forcefully as and strong as we can be, we have to protect that right to cry. Right. I'm
That's
not going to give anybody that right to tell me that I cannot cry in front of them.
that's good.
That's my superpower. That's my right. And I
Yeah.
hope that more people can find that space and create it if they have to forcefully create that, because that's the revolutionary. Is the opposite is we're not creating We're not creating these spaces. And I have one more thing. We're not
Mm-hmm.
engaging in the spaces that are created for us. I have worked with 150,000 men in a dads with daughters group, and the engagement we would do, it would be lighthearted stuff. Hey, here's a picture of my daughter. Wish her a happy birthday from wherever you're from. But when we would get into like the nitty gritty of like, let's talk about masculinity from a C-suite level executive position on. Let's talk about parental leave, right? Most of the men are at the very top of this place, and they make all the shots or
Mm-hmm.
call the shots. And we're saying, you have a mom, you have a daughter, you have this, and this. So let's talk about having 2 weeks available of PTO. So when you have your child, you can actually be home with your child, let alone your employees have that same benefit. And can I tell you how hard it was to get engagement? We would offer money, sponsorships. You talk to the wife, she'll try to get the husband to go. But I'm saying there's a part of us as men that need to reach deep and take that shit, take that fucking healing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. I love it. I think it is, and we can always cry about needing to have more resources, accessibility. It's like, yeah, but then when it's given, do we walk through the door?
Right.
I think a lot of us get comfortable with blaming the white men for everything, and it's like, sure, these white men are doing too much too often, and it's like, y'all done? Get your knee off my neck, right? But then on the other end, it's always like, but are you showing up? Are you allowing yourself to be heard? Excuse me, heard and seen to a point where this isn't just rumor has it. It's like, no, these are actually the problems that men are facing. These are the things that, excuse me, men need, fathers need. It's real. It's here. These are our experiences. You know what I'm saying? Because again, if not, if we choose silence, that means we're allowing someone else to create the narrative for us. Right? So
Absolutely.
women can create narratives for men and they'd be like, that's not even close to what it is, sis. But I guess, you know what I'm saying? Or like if we as brown people stay silent, that means we allow the white man and the media to literally create the narratives that we then unfortunately have to fall under. You know what I'm saying? So, everything that you're saying is so good. And it sounds like your return to self is also recognizing you are a part of a larger whole. You are a part of a community that needs more people to understand what healing looks like. That's why this pod exists, is to really make sure that people understand, like, you don't have to heal alone. There are communities out here, there are therapists out here. Hey, there's just other mental health advocates like Cordan that do exist and want you to know, like, you do have a space. Take advantage of this space, and get the healing that you need, because Black love is dying because we don't love ourselves. And if we don't love ourselves, how are we going to tell somebody else to love us? Like, hello, like men, Black women don't like Black men, Black men don't like Black women. And it's like, y'all, we all we got. So we better fix it. You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely.
Just saying stuff. Yeah, Shay, thank you for those who are in the comments. I appreciate y'all. We're doing.
Yeah, I saw Sergeant First Class. Oh no, Master Sergeant Kareem Yates popped in. That's a good man right there.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, friends. Hey, friends of friends. How y'all doing?
If I can, so just because he popped in, right? That was my first example of Black masculinity. Staff Sergeant Kareem Yates. So 2008, I go on active duty Army. Again, right out of detention, graduate high school, go into the Army. I was experiencing something uncomfortable with a peer, and I was resisting, and he came up to me, and I was being rowdy. This is the military, but I was talking reckless. And when he came up, asked if there was a problem, I was talking reckless to him, and he snatched the rank off my chest, snatched the rank off his, and said, "Respect me as a man before you respect my rank."
Ooh, that's good, sir. That's good.
Listen, I hope he's still listening, but that moment, I mean, we're talking, that was 2008. You know, I still appreciate that. That was the first time. First of all, I didn't grow up in spaces around positive Black examples. When I say positive Black examples, because there were no Black people around me in Utah. I was the only, for the most part, one of the only Black people in Utah at the time. So I went to Georgia, and this was my first example. Respect me as a man before you respect my rank. And I think that spread volumes coming from him. You know, I saw his strength, I saw his posture, I saw that he was respected. He was married, had kids, drove something nice, you know, the example for, you know, the opposite example for a lot of Black men. And he comes from the streets of Philly, ex-gang member, da-da-da-da-da. But like the dude is a college professor now. He just retired from the military. I get all emotional, but it's a good man.
Okay. Safe space, man. Let it out. Let it out. No, it is good. Celebrate each other. Like I watched this, I don't remember who posted it. It was on Instagram where this, you know, YN, you know, little young, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he was talking. He's like, you know, it takes 6, he was saying niggas. So he was like, it takes 6 niggas to carry a casket. Imagine what would happen if those same 6 niggas were uplifting one another. There wouldn't need to be a casket. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we as a community have work to do. We got to love on each other. We got to pick each other up. We got to allow ourselves to be seen, heard, felt, appreciated, all of the above. Now, I'm trying to do my part. I'm trying to love on my Black man, you know what I'm saying? Not in that type of sexual way, unless it's the right person. Anyway, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to be one positive voice out of the other 17,000 negative voices. You know, like my voice gets drowned out. You know what I'm saying? I say this to my friend all the time. I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to let you know who you are. I see you. I hear you. You got this. You're amazing. You are powerful. You are somebody. But when all he hears or she hears is like all of this negative stuff, it's like, I'm just one, you know. But imagine what would happen if we came together as a community and said, I see you. You matter. Everything about you is needed. Never feel like you don't have a place to come or a place where you're not heard and seen and all that other stuff. You know, it's like we need each other. How we got on this topic, I don't know, but I guess it was needed. What this has to do with return self, but it's needed, and I'm not going to apologize.
Honestly, I mean, this is when it's return to self. This is part of who I am. The people that have formed me along the way. You know, and it's an honor to just be in each other's space. And I think most of all, if we can bring that back to relationships, right? Like, can we just bring humanity back into relationships?
Can we?
Like simple humanity, right? You do not harm another person, right? And I feel like if you knew that it was humanity, right? It's like I talk about with my partner now. Like I'm here to let's just do life, right? I'm not here to hurt. I'm not here to hurt nobody. I'm not here to lie to nobody. I'm not here to cheat on nobody. When you can get those, again, get the bare minimums out of the way. But I feel like a lot of people are stuck on all that. They're worried about getting cheated on, or the dude's out at the club till 1:30 a.m. or they liking whatever. And they're posting this on social media, and she's got this on her Snapchat. You know, it is a very fast-paced world, especially with the socials. I feel like it's definitely a lot harder. That security, the veil of security becomes really thin with social media.
That was good. Yes.
That was good. The veil of security becomes really thin. the veil of security becomes really thin with social media. I say it with a good face.
That's so good. So listen, sometimes my mental processing be taking a while these days because I got too much up here. I like that.
And we have a cold, so there's that part.
Child, listen. I'm gonna need to go to the store after this and go get me some Alka-Seltzer Severe because it's not. I'm not living it anyway. No, yeah, that's so good because we can blame a lot of things for a lot of things, but I do think it's true. Like the cheating, like you don't even have to get creative these days. It's so simple,
Absolutely.
and fooling around, messing around, choosing to play the field, micro cheating. Yeah, that's something.
That's the new word. You heard about that micro cheating stuff? That's like the little like that he puts on her picture, the little heart that she puts on his. That's the deer crash out.
Listen, I
on that note, it's like I see a lot of, it's like the lack of vulnerability, right? There's a lot of situationships and trauma bonds. I feel like there's a lot of people who are keeping somebody in the pocket in case this next situation doesn't work out. There's a lot of blurred boundaries around these friends that people are bringing around because they're scared to really give their 100%. Like nobody wants to dive all the way in, and maybe you can slowly dive in, right? You can have an open heart and still be guarded, right?
But that part, we running out of time, but I feel like you might have to come back, sir. It's like we have a lot of people engaging, not just from a broken state, but from a lack of vulnerability, and your heart is guarded. And I have a friend, child, let her tell it she ready to be in a relationship. I'm like, the amount of work you are forcing this man to do to even just get him in the door, yet alone to like the extra part. I'm like, girl, Now she gets all of the male attention, but like, I'm just like, you don't know what to do with it. Good God Almighty.
Well, I've learned this, when you get all the attention, you have to slow down and realize because you get attention, you have to have discernment. Because like for some people, finding somebody that wants them is hard. To get somebody that's attractive, or maybe they don't have the availability, they live in a small town. But like, if you're a desirable person, you have to have discernment and realize there's people who are going to come around, and it's your job to make sure that you are careful and choose the right person. Stay off social media.
Sir. You may not be Christian, but you're preaching anyway. I definitely wish there was a more platforms that this conversation was having that's more accessible to people, because we need to hear from both sides, and we need to be able to, like you were saying, like bring it back to a human understanding, not just male, female, rich, poor, whatever, like human. Get back to humanity, that we are all trying to make it. We are all struggling in our own rights. And yes, people can heal parts of us, but we definitely have to work on self. And like Cordan was saying, you just don't do it one way, because you're not just a one note person. You are a spiritual person. You are a physical person. You are an emotional person. You are a logical person. Like, and if you choose to be in relationships, engage with someone who, they don't have to be on the same level, but they have a deep understanding and appreciation of you on all fronts, right? Cordan mentioned at the beginning that if you're trying to change the person, that's manipulation. If you're not growing together, what are we doing? If you can't maintain your autonomy and also grow together, and your growth complements one another, I don't know. Now I can't tell, and I tell my friends this all the time, like, don't come to me for advice, because at some point I'm starting to sound like a bitter old hag. Okay, because I think everybody need to work on themselves, and sometimes that does mean Singlehood, unfortunately. I'm not trying to make people come over here to the single side. It's ghetto over here. It's stupid. Stupid. But healing is so important because we have hurt people hurting people. We have broken people breaking people. And it's like, y'all, if you love someone and love yourself enough, you got to put in that work for you, to you. And then if the other person is still there, great. Love it. But the return to self is very important. So, unfortunately, we are reaching the end of this pod episode. Cordan, you have been amazing. Our noses have been dripping the whole time, but we made it. Mine is in the trash can behind me. Like I like to say at the end of every pod, I like to have whoever is with me to leave an empowering message, words of encouragement, call to action, if you will, whichever one you would like, for people who might find themselves in that, am I maybe already broken up, but maybe like I should break up and I don't know how to return to myself. I don't know who self is. I don't know how to find self. I don't know how to pour into self. What saith you, Mr. James?
Ooh, such a loaded question. That's making me ponder. It just makes me want to run it back to humanity, right? You are a human who deserves love, who deserves respect, who deserves adoration and praise. And maybe you have some needs that maybe you do need that good morning, I love you, or that good night, or you do need those dates, or you do need that affirmation or that reassurance. Somebody out there will do that for you. But first, you got to have that for yourself. And I think being entangled into relationships, sometimes you don't know how to get that for yourself. And that just means you need to spend more time giving it to yourself. And somebody one day will give it to you. I promise you. A real one always finds a real one. Always. That's all.
So what I'm hearing is in order to find your person, you got to be your person. You got to be a person. You got to be the you. And then whoever is going to complement that would then find you, And I think the beauty of this conversation is that you are a Black man and you are in the process of it. I hate when people like to tell you the beginning or the end. What does Shay say?
She said, discover yourself, but date a little bit.
Yeah.
You do one last thing. You do heal in relationships. And I know you're probably going to hate me for saying that, but you can stay single all your life, but you do need to find good friends that you can build with first. If love is too much, find good friends, find a circle somewhere to build those healthy relationships. And I mean, that's a good way to heal too.
Yeah. We need people. We are creatures of companionship. It is needed. It is necessary. We cannot do it alone. I think, again, that's why I be like, y'all don't come to me. I sound like an old hag, a bitter old hag, and I ain't trying to, y'all. I love love. Child, I love love so much. I love love for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely understand that sometimes you lose yourself in relationships. And, I had a situationship thing. And child, when I say homegirl was shifting and molding and doing all the things just to maintain it, and I'm like, hold on. So the person that I am ain't even me. So I'm still not even being chosen. Like he's choosing this version of me I'm presenting. And when I realized that, I was like, oh dang. Well, I failed that. You know what I'm saying? But if you're able to do it simultaneously, walking alongside a person, I love that. I support that. I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? I just know that there are some times when we like we were talking about trauma bonding and void filling. Like, hey, there's a void here. I'm going to put you in it. And I'm not going to ever go back to that void. Like I was telling my mentee earlier today that like we have this idea that she's like, oh yeah, my boyfriend compliments me. I was like, your brokenness compliments his brokenness. Your left side don't work, his does. His right side don't work, yours does. And you think to yourself, that makes a whole entire well person. It's like, no, because then what happens when he falls off? You still got that broken left side. You know what I'm saying? So instead of using love as a crutch or love as a band-aid, it's like, do it. If you need to be in a relationship, if you need to be in love, do it. Just make sure that you are doing your work as well.
Absolutely. And love is only the first step. There's so many other steps.
So love is work, y'all. Relationships are work. But anywho, Indeed. Mr. James, thank you,
Jermaine.
Frank. This is great. How you feeling? You good?
I'm great. Very good. This has been very, very engaging and freeing. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right. Well, y'all, thank you for tuning in for another Inimitable podcast episode with my friend, my homie, the Black man of New Hampshire, Mr. Cordan James. I will be on next week with a good friend. Her name is India. We're going to be talking about, I think we're talking about faith for the journey and how to overcome these hindrances and fears that prevent us from living out our purpose, because this season is still about purpose. If you guys have seen this episode and feel like this can benefit somebody, lottie-dottie and everybody, share it. You know what I'm saying? Let them see it. Have conversations with it. That is the goal of this. So don't click off, because I have announcements after this that you should watch. The journal's out. The coloring book is out. Programming is coming out. Please do. Thank you, sir. Please do share, like, comment, subscribe. Get on the Amazon. Do the things, y'all. I love y'all. And I'll see you next week. Peace out. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the episode. I hope whatever was said impacted you or someone you know. So again, feel free to share this with anyone you know, a group of people you know, whoever you think needs to hear and have benefited from a conversation like what we just did, send it to them. Anyway, so at the end of my episodes, I like to do some announcements. I do have a lot of things coming up. I am ready to do speaking engagements, so you'll see flyers on those. I'm ready to launch my groups now that the summer's over and everyone's getting back into the swing of like normal everyday life. So I have some groups coming up. I am taking insurances, in case you didn't know. So I'm going to throw up the list of insurances that I am taking. And, stay tuned for more. The books are still out. So my journal, To the Other Side, is still out on Amazon, as well as my mental health awareness affirmations book. It's a coloring book. It's an adult book. We color too. I love to color. Okay. So those are still out on Amazon. Check them out. Again, share those with people who you think might benefit from it. All right. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the flyers, and I'll see you next time.